Okay, thank you. Yeah, today I'm honored to share with you all my thesis titled Non-Attachment as Cessation of Suffering, a clinical model for trauma and stress-related mental health disorder. Before diving into the heart of the thesis, I would like to share a bit about the motivation. So my motivation for this thesis arises from the meeting point between two powerful traditions, Buddhist wisdom and contemporary Western psychology. So in Buddhist teachings, I found a profound guidance on the root of suffering and the path to liberation. In psychology, I discovered the scientific tool for understanding the mind, trauma, and healing. So let's just turn into the heart of suffering that we are seeking to address here, trauma. So what is trauma? Trauma is not just an event, it is an experience or a series of experiences that overwhelms a person's abilities to cope. This fractures our capacity to integrate emotions, to make meaning, or feel safe in our own body. The aftermath lingerings in our nervous system, our thoughts, and even in our relationship. But trauma also holds a paradox. The survivor may intellectually want to let go, to move forward, but yet their nervous system remains stuck, replaying the past. And this is crucial tricks of trauma, like the mind that longs for peace, trapped in a body that still feels under threat. And this creates an unwanted connection, a tie like tethered to the past that feel impossible to ease. Like for example, like a mother keeps apologizing for things that aren't her fault, conditioned by years of blame and manipulation. And other clients hesitate to express anger or needs, fearing a punishment or emotional withdrawal. So trauma is not a choice. It's a wound that time alone cannot heal because the body remembers what the mind tries to forget. And this is where our work begins. If trauma is unwanted connection, then healings must involve conscious disconnection, not from the reality, but from the patterns that bias to suffering. So trauma does not exist in isolation. It ripples outward, like shaping individuals, families, and entire communities. Let's look at its ongoing impact. So, for individuals, trauma often manifests as like chronic anxiety, like body stuck in the survival mode, faced by dangers that has passed, or depression, the heavy weight of helplessness, or these associations like the mind fleeting unbearable pain by disconnecting from the present, or even like more severe like emotional dysregulation like storm of anger, numbness, or physical symptom like because trauma is not just in the head, it lives in the tightened chest and sleepless nights. In the family, trauma rewires relationship. It impairs communication. It distorts attachment, like love gets tangled with fear and trust with betrayal. And this also disturbs parenting norms. Like a parent's unresolved pain becomes a child's inheritance. And like bigger, like across the communities, trauma is like amplified by systemic forces like struggle, discrimination, and racism, or poverty, social exclusion, like the pain of being unseen, unheard, or unwelcome in your own home. So these layers are not separate. A child raised in a trauma-scarred family in a marginalized community absorbs wounds at every level. But Here is the urgent questions. How do we interrupt this cycle? If trauma binds us to the past, how do we cultivate the freedom to choose our relationship to pain? This is where non-attachment enters, not as indifference, but as the courage to see clearly, to hold the pain without being consumed by it. So now I introduce the concept of non-attachment in Buddhism. So in Buddhism, in Buddhist psychology, offer a radical term like non-attachment, not as co-detachment, but as the freedom to meet life fully without being enslaved by it. So the non-attachment springs from the Four Noble Truths teaching, one of the very foundational teachings of the Buddha. So that was about the teaching of suffering, like trauma, loss, and stress are a part of human existence. And the truth of the cause of suffering, like more suffering arises from not being able to control the way we want. And also the truth of cessation of suffering, the liberation is possible. Non-attachment is the cessation. And also it's not by denying pain, but it's relating to it without letting it define you. And the last one, the four noble, the truth of the path, like the noble eightfold path, guiding us to get rid of that attachment. So why non-attachment has deeply have deep roots in Buddhist tradition, Western psychologists have begun to illuminate its transformative power through empirical research, not as mysticism, but as measurable skills for resilience. So in Western psychology, non-attachment was defined clinically as non-clinging to pleasure, control, or the past, not resisting pain, uncertainty, or change. Instead, hold on of that with openness. And there were several scientific tools have been found and developed. For example, like non-attachment scale, and one of these revealed that this quality correlates strong with mindfulness and non-reactivity or self-compassion or eudaimonic well-being. In other words, non-attachment isn't passive resignation, but it's cultivated capacity to engage fully with life while remaining by it. But to avoid confusions, we must clarify these two concepts. Attachment theory and non-attachment arise from different paradigms, yet both hold wisdom for healing. Attachment theory by Bowlby and Armsworth teaches that our early relationship shape internal working models of safety and insecurity. So secure attachment fosters trust. Insecure attachment breeds fear. For example, like anxiety, avoidance in relationship, etc. Here, attachment means healthy bonding, a foundation for resilience. However, the non-attachment in Buddhist philosophy teaches that suffering stems from clinging to mental constructs, the belief that I must have this to be okay. So this cultivates um it cultivates equanimity, like seeing thoughts, emotions, and even relationships as impermanent and constructed. Crucially, it's not detachment. It comes from freedom. It's the freedom to care deeply without being enslaved by the outcome of someone have to be something in order to make you happy. So this distinction is crucial as non-attachment does not imply emotional detachment or lack of care, but rather the ability to engage with life and relationships with wisdom, flexibility, and reduce suffering. To weave together these threads, We explore trauma, non-attachment, and healing. I offer a SSP model rooted in Buddha's threefold trainings, like Sila, like embodied presence, Samadhi, mental stability, and Panya, like clear seeing. So firstly, Sila is the foundation. Sila is the foundation of safety. Sila is embodied presence, alignment of body, speech, and mind in the present moment. Samadhi is capacity to stay stable and spacious. And Panya is clear seeing, the capacity to see and accept things as they are. So first, now let's begin with Sila, the foundations of SSP model. So trauma disconnects us from our own body, leaving us stuck in the past or terrified of the future. So embodied presence in the body, speech, and mind is how we begin to rebuild a sense of safe embodiment. In order to do these things, a therapist does like mindfulness breathing, feel the breath here and now. No need to change anything, just notice. Or somatic tracking, what sensations arise when you recall that memories, let witness them together. Or co-regulation skills like borrowing the calm from the therapist's nervous system. Or sensory orientation, like name 3 things, 5 things around you. This connects the client's sense function so that in the here and now experience. And in order to facilitate these activities, the therapist need to come from the stance of grounded, like be stable, grounded, attuned presence, like not fixing, but holding space for whatever arises. And this is aligned with like Sila elements, aligned with polyvagal theories and somatic therapy. Yeah, and this is very important for later samadhi. That means like stabilize attention and wisdom later to be flourished. So next is samadhi. Samadhi is a second element. So they are Buddhist terms. So if you have any hard term, remember them, that's okay. You can remember the English version like stability. So with Sila as the foundation, the grounding of the body and the breath, we now turn into Samadhi, the cultivation of mental stability and spaciousness, spacious awareness. So normally, trauma traps us in the cycle of reactivity, flooded by emotions, or frozen in numbness. So stability is the art of abiding, the capacity to stay present with discomfort without being swept away. So there are some clinical objects for this element, like developing self-observations. For example, like notice the anger without becoming the anger, or support emotional regulations by expanding the window of tolerance for trauma processing, or strengthen inner stillness. Like center of calm can be found in the body where if a client remember that. So some example of interventions like pause and notice, like creating the gap between the trigger and the reactions, or label thoughts and emotions, like when, for example, like, oh, this is a fear, this is anger, this is joy. So if a client can name those things, it becomes separate. They're not defined, like I feel fearful instead of I am fearful. Yeah. Like, and also like felt sense tracking and etc. And also the important to able to make this happen, a therapist needs the stance from like calm and steady and like spaciousness, mindful way of the like mindful mind and selected reflections, like me mirroring back and remind clients their control on seeing things happening. So the science of samadhis is that it aligns with Dan Searchel's Windows tolerance, helping clients become less between become stable and less trigger that kick them into hyperarousals or hypoarousals. So it's not just about eliminating distress, but rather relating to it differently. And when the body has been have some stability skill, that's when panya, the clear seeing, can arise. So what is clear seeing in trauma work? Trauma distorts our perceptions. It convinces us I'm a broken, this pain is who I am. That's what happened to me. Clear seeing is a moment of recognition that this is a passing storm, not the sky. So clinical objectives would say foster insight into the patterns, or reframing internal narrative, or validate realizations. Okay, yeah, and or even the clients would build another relationship with pain, with the suffering that they went through. So and there are some core interventions would be used for foster these objectives are open-ended inquiries, exploring impermanence. For example, recall a past pain that once felt endless. How does it feel now? For example, like that. Um, repulsive, recept, sorry, or helping clients witness how thoughts as mental events, not truth. And yeah, the therapist stance need to show up in the sessions with acceptance. No need to fix anything. Curious is the antidote to shame. And supportive, um, supportive stance I hear how terrifying that memory feels, and I also see your courage sitting with it as well. And the moment of clear seeing, when a client realizes my trauma is a part of my story, but not my identity. That is clear seeing in action. This is where non-attachment becomes clinical reality, releasing the story that keeps suffering alive. Yeah, and in therapeutic relationship, the SSP model does not practice by the clients alone. It's a shared path. Both therapists and clients engage with this model together, moment by moment. For the therapist, that is the attitude towards the goal, a compassionate orientation to help the clients become free from unwanted attachment and lingering imprints of the trauma. It's not about fixing the clients, it's about holding space with presence, stability, and insight. For the clients, the SSP model become an ongoing lived experience, a step-by-step journey towards true liberations as they reconnect with their inherent wisdom and wholeness. Okay, let me show you how SSP model come to life in practice. Here is an example of my clients, the way that I worked with them last year. So this person, her name's Coco. So she came to therapy seeking emotional stability and safe space to process intense experience. Early sessions, we were often overwhelmed by her racing thoughts, and I focused on co-regulating with her through grounding technique. And then I introduced SSP model gently and incorporate mindfulness exercise, which she began to apply on her own. when she understands the model, she know, okay, here is step by step that I would basically apply and follow on my own process. So over time, she became more capable of observing her emotions without reacting to them. Our work helped her recognize the presence already within her. And from that space, she found the confidence to set boundaries and navigate challenges with greater clarity. So Coco's story reminds me trauma distorts, but clarity heals. The SSP model gave her a tools to rewrite her relationship with herself, one mindfulness at a time. Yeah, and that is on the SSP model, and what some example from how it looked in clinical practice. Thank you for listening. Let me know if you have any questions.